So last night I was editing a video about the expected result of today's vote on May's deal. I was putting the finishing touches to the video and then this happened. May and Juncker announced that they'd agreed changes to the deal. Now I couldn't pretend to be completely surprised by this. May had been in talks with the EU for weeks and the news was full of stories of last minute late night talks. Either way, I wasn't completely over the moon to see May throw my whole video and sleep plans up into the air with her news. But unfortunately, I'm not the centre of the universe, and the world doesn't revolve around me, as my mum has so often reminded me. So late night editing was a real thing today. In this video, we're going to discuss the changes which May has been able to secure ahead of her vote. Then, in a couple of hours' time, we'll be putting out the other video I mentioned, how this evening's vote is probably going to play out and what the consequences are likely to be. If that video's already out, then it'll be linked in the description. If not, make sure to subscribe to be notified when it's released. Sorry, that huge, boring, self-pitying introduction is over. Here's what happened in last night's press conference. So for months, May has been trying to convince MPs to support her deal. We've talked about her deal in depth in another video, so we won't retread old ground here. If you want to know more about what her deal actually includes, there's a link to that video in the description. Essentially, May's deal was designed to be a compromise between those who wanted to see a hard, no-deal Brexit and those who wanted the UK to remain close to the EU. However, the problem is that like so many other compromises, it actually made neither side happy. Pro-Brexit MPs thought it kept the UK too close to the EU and didn't free it enough. Remain MPs thought it was too extreme and dragged the UK too far away from their EU partners. However, one of the most controversial issues was the backstop, which is in many ways the ultimate compromise. After Brexit, the UK will no longer be an EU state, and presuming the UK and EU don't accept a super light form of Brexit, the UK and EU will need to begin enforcing customs when goods pass between them. Therefore, there has to be some sort of border between the two countries where these checks can be completed. Now this might sound like a super easy problem for an island nation, however Northern Ireland is where things get unstuck. Northern Ireland shares its island with the Republic of Ireland. This means that there needs to be some kind of land border between the two countries. Introducing land borders is always going to be disruptive, but given the history of this region and the importance of an open border as established in the Good Friday Agreement, a hard border is particularly bad news here. As such, essentially no one wants to see a hard border introduced on the island of Ireland. The problem is that there has to be a border somewhere, so it's either put between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, or in the Irish Sea. However, having the border here also isn't popular, as it means having an external border within the United Kingdom, and could potentially lead to Northern Ireland leaving the UK and unifying with the Republic of Ireland. So where do you want to place the border? Go on, you have to pick. Is it there or there? It can't go anywhere else. Pick now. Do it. Pick now. Well, how about we choose later? That beautiful can-kicking move is exactly what the backstop is. It's an agreement to leave Northern Ireland close to the EU until the end of the transition period at the end of 2020. This way there's no immediate disruption and the UK and EU have time to reach a new agreement. The backstop means that Northern Ireland would stay close to the EU until a new agreement is reached. A new agreement which is essentially impossible. So obviously people didn't like this. Even the Attorney General Geoffrey Cox warned MPs of the real possibility of the UK and Northern Ireland in particular getting stuck in the backstop indefinitely. So May has desperately been trying to find another way around this problem, to try and remove this unpopular backstop from her deal, to try and improve its popularity. These changes have come in the form of 3 documents. This means that later today, during the meaningful vote, MPs will be asked to approve 5 documents. The original withdrawal agreement and political declaration that were first announced in November, and then 3 documents which were added yesterday night. During May's speech at the press conference last night, she explained what these 3 documents are supposed to do. The first will guarantee that the EU cannot act with the intent of applying the backstop indefinitely. If they do, they can be challenged through arbitration, and if they're found to be in breach, the UK can suspend their backstop. This is an attempt to reassure MPs that the UK won't be stuck in the backstop forever, as the UK could apply for arbitration and if successful, could be released from it. Many people are already unhappy with this though, saying that it doesn't free the UK, but merely allows the UK to potentially apply to be freed. The second document is a unilateral declaration by the UK. May says that the government of the United Kingdom will make a unilateral declaration that if the backstop comes into use and discussions on our future relationship break down so that there's no prospect of subsequent agreement, is the position of the United Kingdom that there'd be nothing to prevent the UK instigating measures that would ultimately disapply the backstop, essentially reinforcing that the backstop can only be temporary. The third document is an addition to the political declaration, which says that the UK and EU will expedite the negotiations. It sets out a number of commitments to enhance and expedite the process of negotiating and bringing into force the future relationship. And it makes a legal commitment that the UK and EU will begin to immediately replace the backstop with alternative arrangements by the end of 2020. This is essentially a way of reassuring MPs that the backstop should never even be necessary. Juncker was very clear that this was the end of the line for future negotiations, commenting that while the UK was offered a second chance, there would be no third chance. MPs are already sceptical about the changes. The DUP and ERG are both appearing resistant, with sceptical voices already surfacing on both sides. DUP MP Jim Shannon even said that the improvements could prove to be Emperor's new clothes, saying we just have to hope tomorrow morning the Emperor's clothes won't reveal something too embarrassing for the Prime Minister. In the video we're releasing later today, we'll dive deeper into the MP's initial reactions, discussing how the vote on May's deal will likely go and what will happen next. As the week goes on, we'll be explaining Brexit harder than ever. You can expect more videos going into even more detail about the votes each day, as well as analysis after each vote telling you exactly what happened and what the implications are. We'll be sharing some of that in the form of videos. We'll also be posting articles on our website, as unsurprisingly, that's so much faster than animating an entire video. To make sure you don't miss any of the articles or videos, follow us across our social network accounts. There's links below, or you can just search TLDR News.